Hello, Blue Jays, and welcome to The Nest, stories about life after Manor College. I am your host, Kelly Peiffer, Vice President of Marketing Communications, and this is definitely the best part of my day. For those of you who are familiar with Manor College, thank you for tuning in and being a loyal Manor College Blue Jay. I love that. For those of you who are new listeners, welcome. My hope is that this podcast will encourage, inform, and inspire you, making you feel like at Manor College, you belong here always. So why are we starting a podcast featuring Manor College alumni? Well, that's a great question. I'd love to tell you. People remember stories up to 20 times more than they remember facts. As someone who thinks a lot about Manor College, our brand, our perception, our marketing, our incredible marketing communications team, we focus a lot on storytelling. Telling our students, our faculty, donors, and alumni stories has always been integral to our strategy. And frankly, I wanted to do more storytelling. So in 2021, in the midst of the pandemic, I started interviewing alumni on Zoom and live streaming those interviews to Facebook and YouTube. Kind of did this randomly one day and it kind of had a few set up. But I realized that connecting with alumni for just 20 minutes and hearing about their time at Manor, their career journey, and any kind of life lessons that they are taking from them since graduating, it quickly became my favorite thing to do. So I kept doing it. And over the last 3 years, I've interviewed over 50 alumni. And each month I would have a different one that I'd focus on. But without fail, the most valuable part of each interview was the advice that they would share at the end to current Manor students. Things like network with everyone you can, or enjoy your college days, soak it in, meet people to help you find internships, be true to yourself. All of this was great advice that stood the test of time, whether it was an alumni I'm talking to from the 1960s or from 2010. Something cool was really happening that when students and faculty were watching these interviews and reconnecting with alumni that they saw, maybe they had them in class or they really enjoyed seeing where their life has taken them. A lot of times also I would hear back from a current student that they saw an interview and they got connected to that alumni and they connected on them through LinkedIn or social media because they're from the same high school or because that alumni went into a field that that student wants to go into and they were inspired. So what I've learned from taking hours and hours of my time to talk to all these alumni is that everyone has a story and that Manor's influence, whether it's big or small, whether you were here for 1 year or you were here for 4 years, remains a constant thread. And all of us are connected to each other through Manor College, our Manor College experience. I personally have been so inspired by our alumni, and I am honored to continue bringing you more alumni stories right here on The Nest. So before we get to today's guest, I want to introduce a segment for the show called Did You Know? This is where we'll share a fun fact or two about Manor College that you may or may not know. We've been around for 78 years, so we have quite a few fun facts to share. So for today's Did You Know that Manor College was a filming location for the movie Hustle, starring Adam Sandler, that came out in 2022? Yes, that's right. Back in 2021, our Manor College gymnasium was hired to be a filming location for the movie. And if you've seen the movie, the parts where our gym is involved, it's one of the most pivotal scenes and kind of in the plot. It's a turning point in the movie. So it's a really cool thing to be a part of. It was a crazy time when the cast and the crew were here. They were here for over a week. It was still pandemic time, so we had to do a lot of precautions. They took up most of our parking lot and the parking lot across the street at St. Basil's Academy. They repainted our entire gym top to bottom, a different shade of beige. And then when they were done filming, repainted it back to our shade of beige. Adam Sandler, Jay Wright, Anthony Edwards, and a lot of other big NBA names were all here. And it was just crazy to think that all these people were here at 700 Fox Chase Road. So if you watch the movie, you will see the iconic Blue Jay padded basketball chairs that were used. The film is on Netflix, and it's definitely worth a watch. I am now honored to welcome our alumni guest for the day. Having graduated with not one, but two degrees from Manor College, his associate's and his bachelor's degree in business administration in 2019 and in 2021. He was the Mother Josephat Medal winner in 2019, receiving Manor's highest student award, involved with just about every student activity or club you can imagine, everything from Rotaract to Student Senate and also a student athlete for our indoor and outdoor track and field teams. Currently, he is an assistant track coach for Manor College, works at Chick-fil-A, also works at Buck County Baseball in Bristol, PA, and volunteers with Transformation to Recovery, a faith-based addiction recovery nonprofit in South Philly. An avid Philadelphia sports fan and a good friend of mine, I am honored to welcome Will Rodebaugh. Hi, Will. Thanks for joining me today.
Kelly, hi. Thank you so much for inviting me on the podcast. I'm very excited to have this conversation with you and answer any question you may have. So thank you again. Thanks for having me.
You are so welcome, Will. I'm the one who's honored for sure. I absolutely love talking to Manor alumni, hearing their stories. So let's kind of get into it. Start me off with how did you choose Manor, and how did you first find the college?
That's a very that's a very good question. Very interesting story too. So I actually started hearing about it. I didn't know what Manor College was until 2015. To be exact, the date was March 7th, 2015. My dad got an email from Manor College, and I was so far in 10th grade, so I wasn't really thinking about college yet, but I was kind of like I knew I was going to start thinking about it in 11th grade, and at that time, I wanted to be a vet tech actually. I wanted to because I was very interested in animals, specifically marine life. I wanted to be a marine biologist, so I thought Manor College would be a good step in that direction. And backing up, my dad actually heard about Manor because he was at Manor at the library actually. He had a work meeting there, and then since he went there, he kept getting a lot of emails, and and that was how I heard about it. So in July, it was my birthday present. I turned 16, so it was a big age. So my parents had a big present for me, and I went to the actually Manor College had a whole week summer camp for vet tech students, and and then I was there, and then even though I found out that after a couple of months after that, vet tech wasn't my thing, I was still very interested in the college. So I decided to apply in spring of 2016. On March 12th of 2016, I went to my very first open house where I met a man named Mark Minnick, who used to work at Manor College. He became a really good friend. We're still very connected, a very good friend and mentor. And I met him that day. And after meeting him and meeting some of the other teachers, I was like, man, I really want to go here. So I decided on March 12th that one of the colleges I wanted to apply for was Manor College. So that's kind of how I got my feet wet. I even went to the Founders Day in 2017. So I went to a bunch of events. I went to the orientation too in 2017 for the new students. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Wow, I love that, Will, and I feel like I've known you for a while now, but I never knew that you were first interested in vet tech. And then I remember that summer camp. We did that for a few years, and it was pretty neat. It would bring high schoolers to this like kind of week long, and got high schoolers interested in animals. And I didn't know you were part of that. How cool!
Yeah,
What a good gift also from a parent perspective giving
I
your
had
kids
so
like a
much
cool
fun.
experience like that. That's really cool. I'm so glad that you had that. I'm so glad that your dad had that work meeting in the library and then got a few emails. I mean, as someone who obviously works in marketing, the power of email marketing is not dead. So always reassuring to hear about that. Thank you so much, Will, for sharing that. That's awesome.
You
So
got
describe your Manor experience. What was it like being a Manor student? What were you involved with? And kind of take us back to what was it like for you?
Very good question. I could really go anywhere with this, but I think I have a good path I want to go on. So I was very excited. My first day at Manor College was September 5th, 2017, and I had one course that day. That's where I met Mary Sims, another person I'm very, very uh, Professor Mary Sims, someone I'm very connected with. I took legal environment of business, still probably one of my favorite courses I ever took there. And I remember I knew that I belonged there from that first class because I remember I went up and I just thought she was such a nice teacher. I remember after that I would go, I thanked her for the class. I was like I was so inspired, and it was such a small class. I knew everybody's name. I met some very good people, and I'm like, man, after day one, I really thought I belonged here. But still, I don't think anyone would have recognized the Will Rodebaugh from the first year to the second. The first year I was still like I always found myself as a very extroverted person who loved talking to people, but I have not been in an in class environment since 2012. So it was kind of all like I was restarting. I was homeschooled for a lot of my years. It was definitely the best way to learn. I'm autistic, so I thought so so it so like homeschooling was very helpful for me, but then I realized that I was extroverted. And then at the same time I saw the workload and I'm like, okay, so let's just so I'm kind of mapping this out of myself because I'm a very planned learner, like I'm very organized. So I'm like, let's see. So how about this first semester? I won't join any clubs, but I'll just be really set on school and we'll see how it goes. Um, it went well and everything, but I didn't realize like how short the classes were and everything. And I was realizing I was coming home really early. There wasn't really anybody at home at that point, so I'm like, okay, maybe I should change this a little bit. And then Mary Sims, uh, the second semester, she invited me to come to Rotaract. She said I would be a very good fit. I should come. They were having like an open house meeting, so and 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 it was with like free food. I mean, free food. Why why
I'm
should
there.
you consider that free food at Manor? And I'm like, okay, I'll come and check it out. And then when I was there, I'm like, man, I love this. Like, I should like try to be the vice president. And
Mhm.
it happened like that. And I I ran for vice president. My pinning ceremony was March 1st, and then I was really into it. And then later I would become the president, and we would start doing a thing for the Eagles Autism campaign.
Mhm.
So that was a couple years later. But yeah, that first year, Rotaract was really the only thing I was involved with. But the second year, I realized my classes were really spread out. I had a couple
Mhm.
classes with Professor JP Lutz, another mentor of mine who I work for right now, and
Mhm.
he and the and the there was there was like a class at 3:45, there's a class at 2:30. So I'm like, all right, so let's see. Maybe I should involve myself with some more things. And then I joined one of my favorite groups, the campus activity board. It was awesome. I loved like because like I have a very marketed mind, so I loved coming up with great ideas for events, ways we could improve them. And really I loved like listening to the students and talking to them. So that was fun. And then a dream came true earlier that summer when the cross country and track clubs opened up, and I had so much fun. I had so many coaches that I was under, like so many. There were so many assistant coaches who I'm still connected with now. So many teammates I had, and it was just a great experience. Like I loved just like expanding what I was doing. I won a lot of great awards. Like I won the MVP one year. I won the coaches award. It was so fun. Like it was such a great experience. So yeah, no, I really loved being involved at Manor, um, and then people started calling me Mr. Manor because I was just so involved. I was helping them, and it just became my tagline and everything. And I really ran with it, you know. So yeah,
Think so. I think after doing all those things, you better be called Mr. Manor. I think
yeah,
certainly earned that title and wore it very well. I remember the Mr. Manor of so that's really cool, Will. And thanks for sharing kind of
yeah,
a full picture of what it was like for you. If you don't mind, talk to me a little bit about what was it like going from like a homeschool environment, being autistic to you're in a classroom, you're in a college setting with lots of other students who have very different backgrounds than you. What was it kind of like, and how did you feel that you were accommodated for anything that maybe you needed assistance with.
Thank you, thank you. That's a good question. So, all right. So, homeschool, I really enjoyed homeschool, because it helped me really like I could take my time on stuff,
Mhm.
and I and like when I was this backs up to even earlier when I was in third grade, no, even second grade, I didn't think I wanted to go back to school because like I was so comfortable.
Yeah.
I had a very hard time in first grade. I think did okay with like the schoolwork and everything that that was math. Sure, I had some learning issues and that kind of stuff. It was more, I think, then I had more issues with like the teachers and everything. That the teachers didn't really see me the way that the classmates saw me. Everyone loved me at that school that that I was at, but like I just had some issues with teachers. But then I went back because I realized that I really love talking to people and I was a people person. So I'm like, you know what? I want to go back. Because I didn't love talking to people then, but then I'm like, you know what? I think like and there was like clubs, but I wanted to do it full time. So in sixth grade, I went back. I actually did something challenging. I did two schools in once. I did a cyber school work and I did all the work too, except for a couple things for the one school I went to. So I did two for 2 years. I did that, and I was very impressed. And I was still involved in a bunch of clubs. So so yeah, and then and then after that, for high school I was homeschooled again, and I went to a school called I think Keystone it was called, and it was really good. It was correspondence school. It was you'd get everything in the mail, you'd fill it out, you'd fill out all your tests, and you'd get the results back, and you would have to do all the work in a year. There was no deadlines. So that's what kind of like um and then when I was doing high school, I was strongly considering college. I'm like, you know what? I really want to go to college. And when when I went to college, um when what when I went to college, I loved it because like it was a small college and even I wanted to go to a college that was small. I was thinking about like colleges like Temple and Drexel and that kind of stuff, but I
Mhm.
wanted to really meet people and get to know them. And
Mhm.
when I heard about Manor, it's like no brainer. If I get into Manor, I'm accepting. So I didn't think I was going to hear back for a while. So I did my SATs and everything. I did everything I did everything I had to do. I didn't realize the ACT wasn't not required for Manor, so like I was happy. I was so nervous about when I was taking
Mhm.
the SAT twice. I was so
Yeah.
nervous. It's scary. It was a scary experience, but like,
Yeah, that is a nerve-wracking thing for sure.
yeah, if they see your phone,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So it sounds like you definitely went through a lot of different types of schooling and education. You've been through, a normal like a traditional classroom setting, a cyber setting, a homeschool setting, a college setting. That's pretty cool to show that how adaptable you are to different settings, regardless of, age and situation. That's neat. So let's kind of talk about your career and kind of you went into business and marketing particularly. So kind of talk to us, what was it like transitioning from I'm a college student and kind of in this secure, familiar, homey environment to now I got to go get a job. I got to go make some money.
Mm.
What was that like kind of transitioning into like a first job after being a college student?
All right, so I graduated in 2021, and then I was even looking for jobs even before that, even before I graduated. I wanted to like,
Mhm.
I want to know what I was getting myself into. I have a
Of
degree in business.
course.
I can do anything. Yeah.
Right, right.
So I had my first interview. It was kind of cool. My dad he he mentored this one guy, got him his first job, and that guy he uh he interviewed me then for a job, and I got further than I thought I was going to in the process. It was like a finance type job. So,
Mhm.
and I think I did really, really well in that first interview. Like I think I was very confident. And then I
Mhm.
found out a few weeks later, I went into the second interview. I didn't, after the second interview, I didn't go any further, but I was still very impressed because I'm like fresh out of high school, and this was like a big like finance type job, and the fact that I got in the second one, I was just so proud of myself. So I
Yeah,
was,
that's great.
yeah, thank you. So I had so
Hmm.
many interviews, and then I really learned that summer that who you know is really important because for about 2 years, the first job I ever had, I worked. A lot of it is a very what's the word, a confidential job, but it was a researching data entry job. It was like 30 to 40 hours a week. I could do it whenever I wanted, and I call the week um of August 23rd one of my favorite weeks of all time because after weeks of searching, I found I got the job on August 20th after weeks of searching, and it was going to be temporary, but then I ended up working longer than I thought because they were very impressed by how good my researching was, how good, like how attentive I was, how
Hmm.
like whenever they wanted a phone call, I was there. I was very they thought that I was very dependable, and then
Hmm.
it kept me going for longer, but then like I stopped working there not because of what I did, but just because of the direction of the company. But then that
Sure.
week, I get a text from my coach, an email from my coach Jeff McCann, wonderful guy.
Mhm.
I get the track coach. He says, "Hey, there's a position opening up for assistant track coach. If you're interested, we'd love to have you." And no brainer. I said yes right away. Like I think I
Mhm.
probably said yes before I told people. I'm like, it's because like I didn't want to miss it. So I was already going to
Mhm.
help out at that orientation, but I didn't realize that
Mhm.
I was gonna be at the orientation as an employee of Manor. I mean, this was 4 months after I graduated,
Mhm.
so it was
That's
awesome. And then,
cool. Yeah, that's so cool. Wow. Well, that's great. It sounds like you had a good experience with some interviewing processes and then had the data entry job, which is like that's a good kind of like earning your stripes kind of like college kid job. That's a good thing to learn. Everyone should kind of have an experience doing that. And then getting a call to come back to be an assistant coach is seems like serendipitous, it's really
oh, yeah.
cool. Yeah. So tell us kind of what are you doing now in your career and how do you find that your manner education kind of is interwoven with what you're doing now in your career?
Mm, good question. So now I'm pretty much doing the same stuff. I have a couple more jobs. Um, People call me the Renaissance man because I do everything. I
Yeah.
do. I like to do a lot of stuff. So now I'm working for, well, as you mentioned before, I'm working for Chick-fil-A. What I like about working there is I get to talk to people. Like I get to talk to a lot. Pretty much that job is like it's very like you get to talk to people and like you get to help them out. And that's what I love doing. I love helping and talking to people. And then I work for another company called Transformation to Recovery, which is a nonprofit company that deals with people who struggle with, like alcoholism and that kind of stuff. And um, I've been running that social media site since October of 2023, and I've been helping with the finances, and I've been writing articles and doing interviews. It's really a great job. It's just a fun job, and I'm getting more and more involved with the church because I'm a person of faith, and I'm really I and I'm really and I'm really big on like, reading the Bible. I listen to a lot of Christian music. I try to live that kind of lifestyle too. And it's very important to me. So having a job where, you you get to help not only like post stuff on social media and check the boxes off, but like, a job where you can further the kingdom of God by like y- by spreading the gospel and that kind of stuff is is great. And it's when I was asked to serve for my church and that kind of stuff, I was so happy. And a cool thing about that job is there's another side of it called Just LA. I work with a former Philadelphia Phillies player named Larry Anderson, and it's he's such a nice man, and he just really has a heart for the Lord, and I've got to talk to him so many times, and I've got to build a friendship with him. So it's just so cool, and I love working there. There's some very great people. My dad works there too, so it's it's awesome, and he was definitely
That's
a big
great.
part in helping me get there. So yeah, that's one thing I've been
Yeah,
doing.
That's great. So it sounds like, your career path so far has been faith and sports kind of coming together, I would say. You got some
Mm-hmm.
sports things going on, you got some faith things going on, you got serving others. And honestly, Will, as you're describing all this, I'm just envisioning the the Manor College mission, where the mission in the last line of our mission, it says, our mission is to prepare students to serve society effectively and compassionately. And as you're talking, and I'm like, this is what Will is doing. He is in society, serving people compassionately and effectively. And obviously, Manor College is founded by the Sisters of St. Basil the Great. They are, we're a Catholic institution. And, they obviously are faith-filled women who wanted to further the kingdom by educating Ukrainian orphan girls when it first started in 1947. And it's just so cool to see, here we are 78 years later, and Will is kind of doing the same thing. So thank you so much for kind of that 360 full circle moment of living out the Manor College mission. It's really empowering and inspiring to see. So I can't leave you without talking a little bit of Eagles. We're coming up on the Super Bowl this Sunday, and I
Yes.
know you are a fanatic sports fan, all Philadelphia. How do you think it's going to go? What are your thoughts on the Super Bowl coming up?
Awesome. Well, first of all, I just gotta say I can't. I love that story you were saying. I can't leave without being remiss. And thanks so much for saying those kind words. I love that. And yes, yes, fly goes fly. Let's go. I gotta tell you, I was telling people back then, even so at the beginning of the year, I was really worried about how we were doing. I knew we were going to be a good team, and I think in the week of the Cleveland Browns game where we barely beat the Cleveland Browns, I'm like, oh man, so I think we can make the playoffs, but I don't know, is it gonna be like last year? But after that, we went on a 10-game winning streak. We never had that we never won so many games in a row. Saquon Barkley is him. He's awesome.
Amazing,
Jalen Hurts,
amazing.
Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley is like one of the best duos I think I've ever seen in sports. And I'm just so confident. I think we're gonna win. I think we got this in the bag. Um, and I think it's going to be. People say it's going to be a close game. I see us winning by 15 points. I'm that confident in our team. I think we win 40-25, and I'm just very excited. The energy in Philly, I'm just seeing so and so happy. Everyone's confident about it. It's like I don't think I talked to one person who said I'm not confident we're winning this thing. I think we're going to win this thing, and and
Well, I
and
hope you're right. I hope that score is right. That's a great score.
yeah.
I read something recently that said the word Eagles appears in the Bible 33 times. Go Birds. And I thought, you know
Over. I
what?
love that.
Here we go. Here we go. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I have one kind of final thing I want to end us on. Just what advice would you give to Manor College students who are, they're in it right now, they're going to classes, hopefully being their own versions of Mr. Manor. What advice would you give to them as someone who's been there, done that, and now can reflect upon?
I'm gonna give very, very basic advice, but this basic advice helped me so much. Don't stop being you. Be yourself.
Mm, mm,
Do what you love. Get involved. Just like, make friends, all that kind of stuff. It's gonna
yes.
serve you well, not just in college, but in life. Trust me,
Mm,
I'm 25 years old now, and I couldn't agree with that advice even more. So,
right.
you know what? Go Blue Jays, go Eagles. Let's go.
Go Birds is a good thing because we're Blue Jays, we're a bird. Go Eagles, they're birds, just go birds. But I love that. So be authentic, be yourself, and not just in college, but in life, and stay true to you. I think that's great, Will. Thank you for tuning in today. If you like what you heard, listen and subscribe on Spotify or YouTube to stay up to date with all new episodes. Give a follow on Manor College Instagram at Manor College. That's a wrap on another episode of The Nest, stories about life after Manor College. Remember, Blue Jays, you belong here always.